Okay, it doesn't feel like we've entered the second phase of patch 1.6, where we know we will have a new character, Trigger. Trigger has a pretty interesting kit, and certainly no less interesting than Soldier Zero Anby. From the 1.6 banner information, we already know that Trigger will have the attribute Electric with the role of Stunner. Indeed, at first glance, she has similarities to Qingyi, but the unique thing about her is that Trigger has a kit that is quite different from most other stun agents, where she does not need to be on the field for a long time and can provide stun value to enemies off the field. Will the presence of Trigger create a new meta and challenge the current stun position? So without further ado, I'm Hoyostation and we will discuss the ultimate guide of Trigger in version 1.6. Let's do this. Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough Stellar Jades? Here is a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Look no further than Lootbar. Lootbar is the most reliable top-up platform. It saves up to 23% for all orders compared with the official channel, and it provides an 80% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy pack for 3,000 Stellar Jades for $42, which otherwise would have costed $50, totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in the less than 3 minutes. All recharges will be done through the official channel with miHoyo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. As you already know from the live stream, Trigger herself is a new character from the Opal Squad faction, which only had Soldier 11 before this release. So you could say that Trigger is the second Opal Squad agent that will be playable. Trigger has a rather unique kit, where unlike most stunners in general, Trigger can produce additional aftershock type attacks through her kit. Let's start with Trigger's base stats. At first glance, Trigger's base HP is slightly lower than other stunners such as Qingyi and lighter at 7,923. However, considering that Trigger's kit allows her to be in the field infrequently, this HP difference should not be too significant. The advantage of Trigger's base stats over some of other stunners lies in Trigger's slightly higher anomaly mastery and anomaly proficiency. What is different here is that Trigger's impact is lower than lighter, Qingyi and even Lycaon at 131, while they are at 136 to 137. So when used in battle, the speed to put the enemy in a stunned position is actually a little longer than other characters. Trigger herself has a basic attack called Cold Bore Shot, which fires 4 shots forward. The first 3 shots deal physical damage, while the fourth deals electric damage. Yes, basic attacks that are common to other characters. But Trigger's unique kit will focus on the whole basic attack called Silenced Shot. Trigger will enter a sniper stance and fire consecutive shots forward to produce electric damage. While shooting continuously, Trigger will automatically dodge enemy attacks and can be triggered once every 12 seconds. When Trigger shoots, we can also control the direction of the shoot to adjust the character's position in the desired direction. Dodging just before an enemy attack will trigger perfect dodge, followed by counter-attack. Now, after the last shot, Trigger will retreat and release the last attack, then leave the sniper stance. The character will be invulnerable during counter-attack and finishing moves. If Trigger fires and is hit by an enemy, Trigger will receive 25 perch up to a maximum of 100 perch. After the finishing move hits the enemy, it will trigger the quick assist of the previous character in the squad. This perch is the energy we will use when we perform an aftershock attack, which I will discuss in a moment. Okay, next we will discuss another version of the basic attack that can be activated when Trigger has perch. The first version is called Harmonizing Shot, which means that if Trigger has perch and we use a character other than Trigger and then attack the enemy with basic attack, dodge counter, special attack, dash attack or quick assist, Trigger will immediately fire 2 quick shots at the enemy, dealing electric damage. Each time this skill is triggered, it will consume 3 perch. Note that Trigger cannot be attacked because she is not in the field. This skill is also included in the aftershock attack and can be triggered by teammates every 3 seconds. As for the second version called Harmonizing Shot Tartarus, where if Trigger has Purge and we use other characters besides Trigger and then attack the enemy with EX special attack, assist follow-up, or ultimate, Trigger will immediately fire 3 consecutive shots followed by a finishing move that causes electric damage. Each time this skill is triggered, it will consume 5 Purge. Just like the previous version, Trigger cannot be attacked because she is not on the field. Trigger can use this skill 2 times in 20 seconds for all teammates. Now, the point of these 2 kits is that we can deliver off-field aftershock attacks in the form of electric damage and give the enemy a high enough dazed value. For the first version, called Harmonizing Shot, it can be triggered more often because it does not provide as big an attack as the Harmonizing Shot Tartarus version. Also, for the first version, we can only trigger it with basic attack, dodge counter, special attack, dash attack, or quick assist teammates. While the second version, we have to use EX special attack, follow-up assist, or ultimate from teammates. Of course, this skill will greatly benefit DPS agent who spend a lot of time on the field and can often activate EX special attacks such as Soldier Zero Anby. In addition to the interesting basic attack, we will also discuss other kits, namely the special attack called Spectral Flash. This skill performs a forward slash that deals electric damage. For the EX special attack called Flash Burial, which activates when energy is sufficient, performs a forward slash followed by a shot to the ground, dealing electric damage. The character is immune when this skill is used. If this skill hits an enemy, it will trigger a quick assist from the previous character in the party. When this skill is hit by an enemy, Trigger will enter a special mode called Coordinated Support. While in this mode, if another active character in the party attacks the enemy with any attack, it will trigger a basic attack Harmonizing Shot with no purge and no cooldown restrictions. This mode lasts 8 seconds and can be triggered up to 4 times. Yes, this effect is similar to triggering a quick assist from the previous character in the party, similar to Pull Cross Kit effect. This certainly makes it necessary to place Trigger in the order after your DPS, so that it can do quick assist to your DPS directly. Now, the effect of EX Special Attack is very good because it can provide additional attacks from the basic attack Harmonizing Shot up to 10 times without pause, which will provide more damage and also daze the enemy. In addition, this effect is very easy to trigger. Just use EX Special Attack on the enemy, then switch to your DPS and do any attack up to 10 times and can easily put the enemy into stun mode. Next, we will move on to another interesting part. It's her ultimate named Underworld Requiem. This ultimate will launch one shot with a large area forward with a big damage multiplier. As with other skills, Trigger will be invulnerable during the ultimate activation process. After this ultimate hits the enemy, it will immediately trigger a quick assist from the previous characters in the squad. Interestingly, if this skill is hit by an enemy, then Trigger will enter a Coordinated Support, the same effect we get if we activate her EX Special Attack ability. Although in percentage terms, this damage will not produce great damage because the damage she produces can only reach 3000%. The Coordinated Support effect that comes from this ultimate is one of the superior kits she has. When combined with her EX Special Attack ability, the Coordinated Support effect will become longer and better. Okay, here don't forget that we will also discuss Trigger's core skills and additional abilities which can certainly determine what team she fits into. For her core passive, named Core Passive Soul Searching Gaze has an effect when Aftershock Trigger hits an enemy, the target's stun damage multiplier increases by 35% for 5 seconds. This effect applies even when the target is not stunned. Honestly, this effect is very good guys, because her core passive can increase the damage stun received by the enemy even when the enemy is not stunned, which makes the damage output from your DPS even greater. Of course, the effect of this stun multiplier is similar to Qingyi's, which can also provide a stun damage multiplier, but Qingyi can provide a larger multiplier of up to 80% at its highest stack. Even though it has a lower stun damage multiplier, the advantage of Trigger is that it can still provide stun damage multiplier even though the enemy is not in the stunner state. So the application of its skills is more flexible. Next, for additional ability named Additional Ability Silver Lantern's Gaze. To activate this ability, Trigger needs a character with the attack roll or a character who has the same attribute, namely Electric. The effect of this additional ability is that if Trigger's critical rate exceeds 40%, then every 1% critical rate owned by Trigger will increase the daze caused by Aftershock by 1.5%. until the maximum increase that can be obtained 75%. If we do a little calculation here, in order to maximize the effect of this additional ability, we must at least have a critical rate of 90% in battle. It's undeniable that we need a lot of critical rate status for trigger, but this 75% increase in days is a good thing. Whereas I mentioned earlier, the attack effect of triggers aftershock already provides a large enough days. Coupled with this increase, it will certainly be even easier for us to make enemies enter stun mode. Finally, we come to the last part of the kit, Trigger's Mindscape. For Mindscape 1, called Sharpened Senses, it will increase the stun damage multiplier caused by core passive Soul Searching Gaze by 20%, which makes a total of 55%. In addition, when you activate Basic Attack Harmonizing Shot, the cooldown of each triggered attack is reduced to 2 seconds. Another effect is that the perch gained from attacking enemies with continuous fire or charged counters in sniper stance is increased by 25%, and the maximum perch is increased to 125. Honestly, Trigger's first Mindscape has a lot of effects, where all the effect of this Mindscape will improve her overall kit because it can increase the stun damage multiplier, reduce the cooldown of Harmonizing Shot, and increase the perch gained. In fact, if you take this Mindscape, of course it will not increase your damage output significantly, but at least with this Mindscape, we can trigger Aftershock more often, which means it will speed up the enemy's stun. Interesting, right? For the second Mindscape, Ether Vision, which takes effect when you use Aftershock, Trigger gets 1 stack of Hunter's Gaze. Then when she makes a finishing move in Sniper Stance mode, Trigger gets 2 stacks of Hunter's Gaze. Each stack of Hunter's Gaze increases the critical damage of all teammates by 6%. This effect can be stacked up to 4 times and lasts 10 seconds. Okay, this Mindscape effect is also quite interesting, guys. With the highest stack, we can get an additional 24% critical damage for all teammates. Although I think the effect of this Mindscape is not as good as the previous Mindscape, the effect of Mindscape 2 is also quite good to get. Next, we will discuss Mindscape 4, which is called Concealment. When the trigger enters or adds the duration of coordinated support, the Basic Attack's Harmonizing Shot or Basic Attack Harmonizing Shot Terrors will trigger Disconnect when it hits the enemy. The effect of Disconnect will provide an additional damage equal to 200% of Trigger's attack and will provide a daze equal to 120% of Trigger's impact. At first glance, this effect looks good, I know, because every time we trigger Harmonizing Shot or Terrors in coordinated support, it will cause additional damage to the enemy. But considering that Trigger is a character with a stun roll that has a very low attack, we don't expect the damage that can be generated from this Mindscape to have a significant impact. Then the last one is her Mindscape 6 called Beyond the River of the Dead, which has the effect of giving Trigger 5 armor break rounds upon entering battle. For every 25 perch used, Trigger gains 1 additional armor break round, up to a maximum of 5 rounds we can get at a time. If you have armor break rounds and Trigger attacks an enemy in sniper stance, 1 armor break round is used to provide an electric damage equal to 1200% of Trigger's attack. This damage also increases by 50% each time it's used. This effect can be triggered every 0.2 seconds. Alright, this Mindscape has a very interesting effect, guys. Although Trigger has a role as a stunner, with this Mindscape 6, it's clear that she will have a new role, which is a sub DPS. Since the 1200% damage she deals when attacking in sniping stance mode is very huge damage. It can even be considered to rival the damage caused by the DPS agent itself. But since this one is the effect of Mindscape 6, I can't complain much. And next we are going to talk about Trigger's signature W engine called Spectral Gaze. One important thing I want to mention is that this W engine has an advanced stat that increases the critical rate by 24%, which currently there's no W engine with the stun roll that has an advanced stat like this. Of course, the effect of increasing the critical rate is in line with Trigger's additional ability, which really wants a very high critical rate status, which is 90%, to be able to maximize the daze caused by her Aftershock. Oh yeah, the effect of the W engine is also very interesting to discuss. The effect of this W engine can reduce the enemy's defense by 25% for 5 seconds when the user attacks the enemy with an Aftershock that causes electric damage. When this effect is triggered and the user is not an active character, the user will receive 1 stack of Mind Lock up to a maximum of 3 stack. Each Spirit Lock stack increases the user's impact by 4% for 12 seconds. The duration of each stack is calculated separately. When the Spirit Lock stack are full, the user's impact increases by 8% again. The effect given by this W engine is very good for Trigger, because the effect of this W engine can provide a 25% defense reduction to the enemy and will also increase the user's impact to a maximum of 20%, which is quite big, even bigger than the impact status we get from other W engine. So what do you think? Okay, now we get into the build discussion for Trigger. For the choice of W engine that can maximize Trigger's kit, the first choice is certainly Spectral Gaze, which is her signature W engine. As I have discussed, this W engine provides defense reduction to the enemy and can also increase the impact of a large number of users, so it can provide benefits to both teammates and Trigger herself. Of course, for those of you who don't want to use the W engine signature, you can still use Hellfire Gears, even though you won't be able to maximize the required critical chance. It doesn't matter, because that W engine can provide additional energy when the user is off the field, and it can also increase the impact again when the user uses EX Special Attack, allowing Trigger to trigger EX Special Attack more often. In addition, you can use 6 shooters for the W engine selection of rank A, which will increase the dazed effect when EX Special Attack is launched. You can also use Anby's W engine called Demara Battery Mark II. The effect of this W engine will increase the electric damage, and if the user attacks with a dodge counter or assist attack, it will increase the user's regeneration energy, which is good enough to increase the Trigger's damage. Okay, finally we are going to talk about the disc that you can use for Trigger. You can use 4 sets of Short Star Disco, 2 sets of which will increase impact by 6%, and the effect for 4 sets will give 20% more daze to the enemy when using basic attack, dash attack, and dodge counter. This effect is very good because Trigger uses her basic attack quite often, so the effect of this disc drive will trigger more often. For 2 sets, you can use Woodpecker Electro to increase critical chance by 8%, because as we have discussed, critical chance is a very important stat to increase daze through its additional abilities. Alternatively, for 2 more sets, you can use 2 sets of Swing Jazz to increase energy regeneration. For the main stat of Disc 4 is Critical Rate, Disc 5 is Electric Damage, and for Disc 6, you can use Impact. For substats you must prioritize is Critical Rate, Critical Damage, Attack Percentage, and Penetration. Finally, we come to the last part of this video, which is about the best teammates to pair with Trigger. As I explained in the previous section, Trigger is a stunner agent that has the electric attribute, which requires certain conditions, namely that it must be paired with an agent that has an attacker role or a character with an electric attribute in the team. For the first character that will benefit from being paired with Trigger, of course, is Soldier Zero Anby, who has been released and we can get in version 1.6. Yes, because Soldier Zero Anby is an agent who has a role as an attacker, Trigger can easily activate her additional abilities. Soldier Zero Anby has synergies that are very compatible with Trigger, where both provide damage from aftershock attacks. In addition, because Soldier Zero Anby is a character who uses special attack and EX special attack very often, Trigger's basic attack ability will be triggered more often. It would be incomplete if we didn't include Rina. Not only does she have the same attribute, Electric, but she also has a universal buff that increases the penetration of all team members, which is also beneficial to Trigger. In addition, Rina also does not require a long on-field time, so we can maximize the on-field time for Trigger and also our main DPS. Aside from the characters I mentioned earlier, Trigger has an ability that will provide benefits in the form of increasing the stun damage multiplier by 35%, which is very useful for DPS characters universally, such as Yuyuan, Harumasa, even Yanagi. Pretty interesting, right? Okay guys, maybe that's all for this video. What do you think about this agent? If there is anything you want to ask, please type in the comments down below and don't forget to check out my other videos because they are no less cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.